Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the Can't Stop Talking podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Scarlet, will you please introduce yourself?
Hello. So good to be here. Thank you so much. I'm really excited for this podcast because I know we're going to talk about some juicy topics that is so close to my heart. So I'm Scarlet. I'm a leadership, energetics, and confidence coach. And I help women who are people pleasers from narcissistic abuse to be able to heal that, to step into their most empowered leader self. Because as an entrepreneur, if you've gone through any adverse childhood experience, that will affect your productivity, your ability to show up as your true authentic self, which is what's going to get you the sales. It's what's going to get you the people, the clients that are aligned with your soul, that fire you up and make you so excited to have that coaching call. And it's about the authenticity, and authenticity in itself, you need to let go of people pleasing. So that's what I do.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited for today because I myself am definitely a chronic people pleaser, but also just watching you speak and the way you carry yourself. Obviously, what you're doing is 100% working. So I can't wait to hear all the tips or tricks that are going to come from you. So first, let us know, how did you get into, really this business?
Okay, first of all, I appreciate what you just said. That made my heart light up.
Oh, you're so
Um, and
welcome.
I and I got into this business by okay, so long story short, I was starting my business as an artist, and I still have that. It's something I do as well as the coaching. I sell my paintings. And my painting was the thing that would help me cope with the pain. It's painful to be a people pleaser. And it's also painful, to have that feeling of, the way that I describe it is constantly shaming your own anger, because the anger is the thing that people pleasers shame, that ability to feel your anger, that's painful. And so it's something that I would cope with, like painting, but I also started at like almost unlocking that talent. And I started my business as an artist. And then I had a coach, my first coach. I was like, this was the leap of faith. I hired her, and it was like £1,000 a month. And I'm being like, oh my God, I'm doing this. And I was so nervous, so excited. My heart was beaming with like possibilities. And then I realized I love what she's doing. This feels so resonant to my soul. And she was like helping me through my darkest times. Like, I'm so grateful for her, because without her, I don't think I would even be in this path. And that coaching experience made me feel so seen. And we had Vox associated. It was like a monthly thing. So it was like so supported. It was better than therapy. And before that, I'd had experienced therapy. And the therapy never actually healed the people pleasing. It just actually enabled my people pleasing. The
Wow.
therapist, yeah, the therapist would say, no, this is amazing. We need more people like you in society. This is a beautiful thing. And look, I'm not against feeling good about like who you're being and where you're at. But if you don't have that fire to transform and shift so you can feel good about yourself, I don't think just being okay with where you are so you feel better is it good, because you're not actually then feeling good. You're just feeling okay, and you're just settling when life is life, right? Like, we're alive. Why are we settling, right? To just okay. I wanted to feel good. And that's why I hired that coach. And that was the first time in my whole life I started knowing truly what an energetic boundary was. And when I set my first boundary, it was with family. And if you know, family is hard to set
Yes.
boundaries, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember being so scared, and I felt so powerful, because in that moment, I just reached my edge and I understood what it was like to be a dark feminine energy. And that's when I realized I found my true core, my true authenticity, because I've always been a very fiery, passionate person, but that was shamed. When I was a child, that was shamed so much, not by only by my parents, but by friends. They would be, it was almost as if they didn't like how confident I was, and everyone around me would always like kind of say a little thing that put me down, or intimidating, or jealousy. And then I realized, oh, my biggest challenge is confidence. So I'm gonna work on my confidence. And then I realized I've actually worked on my confidence a lot. People are complimenting me. People are saying that I'm really confident. They're asking me how I'm this confident. What did I do? And then I was like, maybe I could do a business about this. Maybe I
Yes.
could do it, you know? My biggest challenge is the thing that given my most energy. Since I was 14, I've been reading psychology and confidence books, obsessed. I've been reading and I've been meditating since I was 16. I've been meditating for years. And now that I'm in this place where I'm finally actually applying this knowledge and creating creations like content and creating videos and sharing this wisdom and applying, seeing the results in people and seeing that this actually is working with other people as well as it did with me. Yeah, that's what makes me feel like it's my heart medicine, the reason I'm here.
Oh, I love that word, heart medicine. We can just tell, like through the screen, how much you resonate, and this is your passion, this is your calling. It's just so beautiful to
Yeah.
see. And something you said is an energetic boundary. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, of course. Oh my God. Energetic boundaries are the shift. If you're an empath, so if you feel other people's emotions and you are very sensitive to the energy in the room, or you're very intuitive, that means you have a superpower, but it can be taken advantage of by narcissists, psychopaths, and sociopaths. And the unfortunate thing is that there are many of them,
Wow.
but also not. In the world at large, there isn't, but there are many of them that will be attracted to empaths because empaths, when they aren't in their empowered self, which you get to when you start applying energetic boundaries, what you essentially are is a golden diamond, right? You're shining so bright and you're just the sun radiating empathy, love, kindness. Of course, predators are going to be like, whoa, this is a tasty dinner tonight. You know, you're a high value as an empath. You're rare. Not everyone is empathic. You know, it's a very rare thing to be an empath, a genuine empath. And it's a beautiful thing. Yes, some people develop high empathy because of like traumatic childhood experiences. And that's why I have to do the foundational work to heal the trauma at a cellular level through breath work. That's why we do the shadow work. That's why we do the journaling and the counsel and the coaching. And I bring in CBT, which is a little bit of like reframing of thoughts. And because of that, it allows you to step into actually seeing narcissists, because there's almost like a pull when you don't heal the childhood trauma to narcissists because you think, oh, that person is confident, that person is it, because that's what you're used to. It's the familiar, right? We attract what we're familiar to. And so the narcissist is like, that's the person, that's a good person, but really that's actually not a good person. It just seems good because it's familiar. But an actual healthy person is going to be boring until you heal. They're going to be someone who's going to just bring you apathy. They're going to be someone who's going to make you feel safe. And in a relationship, if you're trying to date as an empath that isn't empowered through energetic boundaries, you're going to want to just run away and find another someone who gives you that hit of adrenaline and cortisol because you're used to it. You've adapted. So we have to teach our body how to adapt to be in our own energetic boundaries. And how you do that is by consistently having a practice that slows your kind of energy down to a place of where you are contained and you are feeling your energy. So you can do this by breath work, feeling your emotion to soothe your nervous system. And when you allow yourself to just come to a place of like stillness, and you do this consistently, it takes time, just
Yeah.
like it took time to adapt to cortisol and adrenaline. It'll take time to adapt to this. And there's nothing wrong with adrenaline and cortisol. You can do that by jumping off like what is it, skydiving. That's a beautiful thing. You can do that. Adrenaline is a beautiful thing, but within a place that serves you and that is healthy for you. But you know, doing it through toxic relationships, we all know they always end up actually hurting you. And if you have a business as an entrepreneur, you are as an empath, the most powerful thing you can do is actually have those realization that until you heal, you're never going to be as productive. You're never going to reach your potential as much as you could because you're fighting against your own attraction to toxicity and you're trying to build a healthy life. So first of all, let's detract, and that's the work. And then naturally, you're going to have energetic boundaries. You won't even have to think about it. But if we had to consciously explain what energetic boundaries are, it's essentially where you are so embodied in your boundaries because you keep your word with yourself so much that you naturally automatically show up in a way where your voice, your tone, your expression communicates to people, I don't tolerate this, I don't entertain this, at a subtle energetic level. And the work can only be done by when you're in the room by yourself. Okay, you told yourself you're going to clean the house today, and you've said this for months, right? And you haven't cleaned the house for months. You probably don't trust yourself, and your energetic boundaries, the thing that you're exhibiting to the world and like radiating, is probably, well, you can walk all over me because I walk all over me. It's the vibration you're vibrating. I think I got hair in my mouth. Well, that was a moment. Do you have any more questions about energetic boundaries? Because I've never really fully explained them like this, so I'd love to go deeper.
I love it. So this is so cool. And we've definitely seen people who just show up and like don't even have to say anything. So my question is an energetic boundary something that you also tell someone your boundary, or is it just something that, like you said, unconsciously you kind of just show up in this new way and people understand that, they can't, do certain things to you?
Yeah. So, okay, that was a great question. I feel like energetic boundaries are they're the same. It's just a different label to describe a different way of expressing a boundary. So with the verbal, you're expressing it with your voice. You're expressing
Mm,
it by literally telling someone, I want you to do this, or I'm not okay with this, or this is my limit. You're expressing it with your voice. But then when it's an energetic boundary, what you're doing is you can express it with your body language, because that's your energy, right? You're energetically putting the boundary. Maybe someone comes really close to you, you take a step back, and then
mm,
they move closer if that happens, because some people, they don't respect the first boundary, energetic boundary, because they don't maybe pick up on it. Then maybe you verbalize the boundary because the energetic boundary wasn't enough.
mm.
So most people, they know what they're doing, most people,
Yeah.
they realize that. And so then you have to say a verbal boundary, because there's no like gray area there. There's no space for them to be like, well, you didn't really tell me though, I couldn't really read your mind, because you said it. That's why it's so important to have the ability to say the verbal boundaries and focus on that, and then worry about energetic boundaries. And the way that you have energetic boundaries is first having reframing it in your mind. So for example, if you are always entertaining, like, let's say someone always complains and you always listen to them complaining, you don't like it, and your body is just a no, it's a full no, you feel a tenseness, and what you actually want to do in that moment is you want to say, look, I'm not in the place to like listen to this. I'm not actually, I need my space, I need to focus on my energy because I have this big thing tomorrow. But then you never say anything to them. It's very likely that the way that you're going to show up in a body language, if someone else does the exact same thing, is this is normal. This happens to me all the time. You might not be saying this, but that's the boundary you're showing people, because you don't have a limit there. Basically, you're like an open house. You're like, you can do whatever, because I've built the mindset that that's what people do to me, because I've never shown the evidence and the reframing in my mind with that other friend. I've never done that. Once you take that step and you set that first boundary with someone, automatically the second time someone else does it, it'll be automatic. You won't even have to think about it so much because you've done it already. And that's the energetic work. So the energetic work is more about doing the mindset work behind the boundaries, so it happens automatically without you having to be like, should I set a boundary here? Is this the
Yes.
right time? Is this the right place?
I love this so much. I actually had a
Mm.
client that I worked with this year. She's a lifelong client, but she came to me this year specifically and was like, I love the business we built, but, I just feel drained. And she was letting people, take advantage of her. She had a group that was really low cost, that just had too many women in it, too high access to
Mm.
her. And so what we worked on was really cleaning up those boundaries. And what
Mm.
happened because of it is she not only got her time back, but she ended up making more money and felt so much better in her business. So I would love to hear your take on, energetic boundaries in business with entrepreneurs.
Mm. Yes, I love that. Okay, so this is huge, especially if you're holding clients. It's so important to be like the leader of your own self, like the leader of what you tolerate and what you don't. And the reason I say leader is because that's exactly what you're doing when you're coaching someone. You are leading them. And if you have no leadership skills, there's only a level to how much you can get that person to get powerful results. Leadership skills is something that comes from having that self-trust, that confidence, right? That is something that you need. Every leader needs to be confident in order to be able to lead. It's like a byproduct. So I'd say that if you are someone who's an entrepreneur and you want more energetic boundaries, it's just tuning in to when your intuition is telling you, right? Your intuition is telling you, okay, my client is starting to like really not do the work as much as they usually do. And I'm feeling like if I don't do it now, this is being proactive, right? This is being proactive with telling them something instead of waiting for the thing that you're scared of happening, proactively telling them, look, I'm seeing that, I'm feeling that you're not really doing the work. Is there something you want to talk about? The reason this is energetic boundaries is because you're one, holding your ability to not worry about this. You're having a boundary around your energy because you're already communicating about it before it becomes a problem, before they stop showing up, before they start, because you're proactive. You're before it's a problem, you're asking them, is there something up? Is there something you want to talk about? This makes you feel less worried, have more energy as an entrepreneur, because now what you're doing is you're not guessing, worrying, anxiety. You're simply allowing yourself to look at the evidence and see what you can do and take the action. And now you have more energy. Now you can show up better. And this is just one example, but you can do that in so many other forms. Like, for example, if your client is in a call, if you're not leading a client and they're the one who's like talking and talking about something, you're like looking at the time, like, but I have to go through all these things. Well, then in that case, what you need to do is you have to be able to have powerful energetic boundaries and be like, okay, I get you. I understand what you're saying. Let's move on. And I am 100% sure that you're going to trigger your clients, but you have to let them know that that is part of the coaching experience. You are meant to trigger them because you're not there to be their friend. You're there to literally lead them through what you have to get through. And if you're trying to make them happy, if you're trying to please them and make sure that they're, you're not going to get through the stuff. And then at the end of the time, you're like, oh, we didn't have time to do everything because you were telling me details about how the beach trip you went to with your friends was so beautiful and the sun was very big. And I was just listening and hoping that you would finish anytime soon so I could tell you the actual stuff. So you have to be able to like not care whether you hurt someone, but that doesn't mean don't explain, right? Because I think people are like, okay, I'm going to have energetic boundaries, and I'm going to do this. And then it just like becomes so cold and so callous and so heartless because they go from one end of the spectrum to the next. But the thing is, you have to also consider that people, human beings, we like to know why people are doing things. That's why usually we get triggered, because there's a lack of information. But
Yes.
if you give them enough information during the call, and you're like, look, I understand what you're saying. I truly do. And I want to move on because we only have a specific amount of time. They're probably going to be like so on your side. They're going to be like, yeah, she genuinely wants to give me value right now. They're going to love that you're setting this boundary because you gave them a reason. But this doesn't mean you always have to give a reason, from the context.
Yes, I feel like a little off topic, but I feel like a lot of the times when women and men disconnect, it's because men or women usually explain why they're saying something, and men usually just say like, "All right, let's move on," and don't say that after part, which is so
Right.
interesting. Yeah, that's so good. Okay, I'm obsessed with this. So you keep talking about a leader, and I love it because I love everything that you're saying about like you need to be a leader to lead people. Tell us, what does the qualities of a leader, what do they have?
Integrity. Oh my God. Integrity is the most powerful thing. And it's not the easiest thing. This means whew, you teach something, you have to do it. And this means, you know, you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. And it also means you have to always be improving in yourself, because if you are a confidence coach and then you just stop learning, you are never going to have full integrity because nobody knows everything in life. Nobody. So
Yeah.
anywhere, any space you are, if you stop learning, or if you get to a point where you're like, I know everything, I know that I fall into that trap in the past where I was like, I know most things. And then life humbled me. I was like, there's so much I don't know.
Yes.
There's so much. And it's crazy. But then again, I also think the duality that a lot of people forget, and then they get too humbled and they lose the confidence, is, but you do know stuff. And what you do know is valuable. And what you do know is going to help a lot of people. So own that with pride. But so don't be too humble. Like, oh my God, I think so many people are scared to be so confident because they're like, I need to be humble. Yes, but also not at the expense of feeling and acknowledging and holding yourself with the pride that you deserve. Because if you don't hold yourself that way, people aren't going to want to be led by you. A leader has to be confident. It's not an option, it's a need. That's why I'm a leadership confidence coach, because it's literally the same coin. If you're not confident in, if you can't sell something, right? It actually all intertwines. If you can't sell, it means that you can't persuade someone. And if you can't persuade someone, you can't lead someone. If you can't lead someone, it's because you don't have the confidence to actually sell something. So it's all really connected in a way, all about entrepreneurship. So you going entrepreneurship, you work on your selling skills, or you work on your confidence skills, you work on this stuff. Not only do you begin to improve so much in your life in one area, it's all connected, it will improve. But if you directly want to just improve in your leadership, here's what I would do. I would first start really connecting to your intuition, because it is so easy to trust what people say face value, but most of the time what people say is not what they mean, and most of the time what they say is so much deeper. And your job as a coach, your job as a leader, is to be able to get to the actual truth in the place, because we lie to ourselves so much. And as a leader, your job is to find the truth in each situation. You're like a detective, and you had, in order to be able to be in that integrity, that also means you have to always be in truth. And so that means you have to question yourself. You have to question the intentions for what you're doing, You have to act in a place of pure intention, because if you're not acting in a place of pure intention, that energetics, when you're saying something, it's not going to align, because the truth always comes out, right? Like, so people will eventually be able to see if you're an integral leader or not. So that doesn't mean to be so pressured on yourself and be like, oh my God, I made one mistake. I forgot to post one video and now I'm the worst leader in the world. Oh my God, don't do that to yourself.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like, whether you chose to sit down and eat a bag of chips and watch TV because you were distracting yourself and bypassing and pretending and listening to the excuses, or because you genuinely forgot, or you genuinely had a lot on that was really stressful that day, that just made it not be able to happen. That's why it's about questioning
Yeah.
yourself and knowing your intentions.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And I talk about, my number one selling tip is confidence. I think that at the end of the day, if, your launch isn't going the way that you want, or you're selling something and you're hearing crickets, if you just really go online and you're like, this is the most amazing product and it came from the soul, and you just really back it up with confidence, that is the best thing that you could do. And you will watch your reality with sales change. I would love to hear the link that you feel with confidence in selling and business.
I absolutely agree with what you just said. And that's amazing. And, the link with confidence and selling, it's huge. So I'm going to bring you to my fundraising story. When I first got into fundraising, that was my first time ever dabbling with sales. I mean, I remember selling like drawings when I was younger, but that like entrepreneur spirit, trying to sell stuff to like your family and stuff, and your auntie and uncle, like, oh, look, I sketched, would you buy that? Like, that
Yes,
was my, yeah,
I did that
that was
too.
my beginning. That was my roots.
I love it.
And then I would say that the link to confidence is when it really goes back all the way to when I was a kid. I saw this pattern even when I was a kid. Love attraction was working even when I was a kid.
Wow.
So basically, I remember when I was really hard trying to sell these sketches to like literally my auntie and uncle. So this isn't hard people to sell to, right? But love
Yeah.
attraction was still playing in the game. I just couldn't do it. They either like didn't show up, or they were late, or maybe they didn't have cash on them or whatever. But then I remember when I just let go of resistance, which is like the thing that resistance has in correlation with confidence, is if you're not attached to the outcome, you can be more confident.
Wow.
Because detachment in itself means you're not doing something for the sake of a result, which means then you are a prisoner to that outcome needing to happen, meaning your ability to express yourself is stuck in that, so you're not able to be authentic and dynamic.
Wow.
But when you are
I love that.
able, it just came through now. I didn't know I said that before, so clearly this is a moment.
Wow. Keep
um
going, please.
yes. So basically, with the resistance, if you're able to just detach in the moment and just fully be in the moment present and being there to have fun. You're not like, I know this sounds counterintuitive because you're like, well, I need to focus on the vision. Yeah, of course, focus on the vision, but focus more on the present moment and hold the vision as like, it's just your brain will naturally do that. But being able to look for the ways to have fun in the moment and find the pleasure here, that's going to naturally allow you to release the resistance. That's how you do it. You don't do it by being like, okay, I'm just going to let go of trying so hard. Because that's you trying to force yourself with more resistance to stop the resistance, which isn't going to work. It's just going to make you more anxious because you're not letting go of the resistance fast enough. So the way you do it is just look for ways to find pleasure in each moment and look for the things you like and just ground yourself to now. If you find your brain going, oh my God, will they buy it? Will they like it? Oh my God, am I doing this well enough? Is my tone right? Is whatever. Clearly you're not listening to what the other person's saying deeply enough to make the sale. Because if you were listening to them so present in that moment, to their cues, their body language, to their like movements, to their, maybe they look to the side when you say something they disagree with, you would miss all of that because you're thinking whether your tone is the right tone.
Wow, that is so freaking good. And I feel like I've said this before, whenever my big manifestations come in, it's always because I'm in the present moment. And whenever I'm really good at manifesting, it's feeling immense gratitude for the right now. And that's when it really comes in. And everything you said is in alignment with that. But I love what you're saying, that like when you kind of are in this present moment and you take the presence off you and what you're doing, and if you're doing it right, then you can really see, am I the right coach for this person? Can I actually help this person? Kind of, I've always, heard it this way, but being the doctor and a patient comes in and you're not thinking as a doctor, like, do I look good? Am I saying the right thing? No, the doctor is listening and really seeing if they can find out the, patient's symptoms and if they can help them.
That's really true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that doctor analogy. It makes it clearer as well on how like your mindset should be to get that presence.
Wow. So do you have any tips on kind of taking, the emphasis off you and getting into the present moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think a few because that's definitely something I've worked on a lot because that's energetics in itself. And leadership energetics is all about that. It's all about the energy of the moment. And to get the focus, it's not really, I think that you don't want to just get the focus off you because then you're not going to be accountable for what you're giving, right? The energy that you're showing up. So I remember when I tried to just put the focus on the other person, and then I would be saying things, I'd be like, why did I say that? Because I was too focused on what they were thinking and what they want. And that in itself is an act of people pleasing when selling. And so in order to not be people pleasing when selling, to have the energetics where it's kind of like you are embodied, you're in your body, you're feeling your emotions, you're aware of like what you're thinking, you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of your triggers, but at the same time you're so focused on them. The way that you do that is by simply becoming mindful of everything, just awareness, instead of seeing it as, okay, I need to think my way through this, just think, I need to feel my way through this. And that's why it's all about feeling the intuition. So if you're in a situation, you're like, okay, I'm going to just think that I am lovable, and just think that over and over again because that's an affirmation. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that that's like basic one. That's reframing the mind. But you want to bring it to the body, which is the second
Yes.
thing, which is actually going to get you the results, the embodiment of that energetics, which is cannot be done by saying I am lovable over and over again, or I can do this, or I'm a magnet to this. Like that's the beginning, but it's about being able to be like, okay, how do I actually feel about this? Why do I feel this way? Okay, so let me try and sing this affirmation the second time and notice how my sensations in my body shifts. Okay, now it seems a little bit less resistance. Oh wait, when I said this, it actually got worse. You can do this obviously when you're not in the middle with someone else, because then obviously you're fully attention to how you're feeling. But once you've done that work of like really tuning into the resistance where you're scared by saying I am lovable, and then tuning into your sensations where in your body and questioning why this is coming up and asking yourself questions to get more clarity and awareness around that, that is the only way that you're going to be able to, when you're showing up with someone else, to be present. Because if you haven't done the work on the resistance, on the blocks, on the limiting mindsets, on by yourself, they're going to show up when you're doing the selling or the coaching experience with someone, and you're not going to have time to do the reframing right then. Even if you can do maybe a little bit or a little positive affirmation here and there, but if you do too much, you're going to be so disassociated that you're not actually going to give people that potency and that flow and that power, which is where your power is in the now moment, not in the future or the past.
I love
I
that
hope that
so
answers your
much.
question.
Yes, it does. I'm obsessed. So I only have one more question left for you, and I'm so
Okay.
excited for this. But what are, I would say, your three biggest tips for my audience? It could be about anything that you teach, but something that you're like, these are my ride or dies. You could think about it that could really change someone's life, their business, the way they show up,
Yeah,
whatever
I
it is
love
for
this
you.
question. I'd say feeling your emotions, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness and boundaries are the three main things I focus on improving someone's leadership skills, which is something you can do by yourself, but having a coach and having the ability to have the blind spots, that's the magic. That's the key. I'd say that also, it's also the level of depth that I'd say that you doing this foundational work, you should always, no matter who you are, whether you're a people pleaser or not, be focusing on boundaries, be focusing on emotional intelligence and self-awareness, even if you aren't a leader or a coach, because this is what allows you to grow and get promotions. This is what allows you to be someone who is able to deal with the conflicts of life and the adversity. So my advice for the first one is building the emotional intelligence, which can only be done by feeling your emotions. And the tips and the tricks I'd say for feeling your emotions, I literally just gave this to a client today, which was, she loved this. And I genuinely believe it is going to create monumental shifts in her life. And I'm going to share it with you guys today. So that is literally listening to brown noise or white noise, whatever it is, a neutral sound that you have no preconceptions, not a music, nothing like that, something that brings you in the moment, no thought. And then tune into your body and just feel the sensations for up to 20 minutes, no more, and just feel it. Like
Wow.
literally just feel it, not to make it go away, not to make it better, not to validate it, not to invalidate it, just to allow yourself to sit with it for like 20 minutes. That is the thing that has shifted so much for me, second to breath work. Just feeling. Literally so simple.
Wow. And what are those shifts that you feel like it's done for you? Because I think that's such a beautiful practice.
Yeah, it's incredible. I'd say that the shift that it happened for me was less anxiety. Oh my God, I used to have so much anxiety because I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling a sensation and emotion in my body. I'm feeling nervous. I'm going to do a lot of breath work. I'm going to do a lot of meditation. I'm going to do a lot of this and that. And now even me doing a lot of that, you can see from like my energy now, it'd be like, like, I need to do
Yeah.
more. It's not enough. I need to tap it away more. I need to do more EFT tapping. It was just never enough. So the thing, it just made my anxiety go away because as a coach, as a leader, if you're not able to feel your emotions, how are you going to deal with somebody when they like bringing up a lot of energy and a lot of emotions? Because leaders, they have to deal with stressful situations. Leaders lead chaos to order. So if you can't feel stressful emotions by sitting with them in a state of calm and just sensing them in your body and expanding your nervous system to allow yourself to carry more energy, how are you going to be able to deal with other people's energies and lead others' energies? So first of all, master your own emotional intelligence by just being able to sense your feelings. That is the most powerful thing. And then the second one, I love this question, by the way. The
Thank you.
second one, the second one is realize everything is energy.
Wow.
Everything. Like everything. There's not an ounce of this world that's not energy. Everything is energy, but do not feel the pressure to just be on positive energy because that's going into toxic positivity. Because we are everything. We are the universe experiencing itself, meaning the world, the universe doesn't want to be anyone else but you right now. It just doesn't. And so you are literally who the universe wants to be. The universe genuinely does not want to be anyone else right in this moment. So
I'm
being able to feel that, and by allowing yourself to accept that, because it's honestly took me a long time to actually even like allow my logical condition from like school, think logic, only logic, think things as material and only material, and there's no spirituality in anything, and it's just all just this. to switch to that, I'm a very logical person at heart, even though I'm very spiritual now. It was very hard. I had to do an ayahuasca ceremony. I had to literally meditate for years. I had to do all these things until I finally accepted this fact of life, that everything is energy. And if anything, this is just a spiritual reality where we're just, everything is more like, I mean, generally science proves this, it's just atoms vibrating, right? So it's all vibration. So when you move and shift your vibration, you're shifting the vibration of your atoms, you're shifting your whole energetic expression, you're shifting how you show up in each moment. And by you shifting that, you allow yourself to attract different things in your life. And quite literally, you cannot destroy energy. That means every single possibility exists, including from your lowest and your worst nightmare to your highest ever imaginable experience. So it's not about fearing or being like, okay, so I just need to be in a vibration of just being on the positive, but realizing you're constantly fluctuating from timelines every single moment. So it's
Wow.
not about being like, oh, I'm constantly stuck in this path. It's like every single reframing of thought, every single present now is creating the future. So coming back to that power that you hold in your energetics. Oh my God, I'm loving what's coming through right now. In your energetics and being able to realize what you feel in your body in each moment is what other people feel. And I want to go deeper there because that's very
Yes.
general, but basically, if you're feeling awkward in your body and embarrassed, usually people are more likely to judge you because they feel what you're feeling. They kind of feel that awkwardness. And it's the exact same thing when you're feeling pure, authentic excitement. You almost light the room up with your energy like a sun, and everyone feels that excitement. Or when you show up in a room and you try to pretend to be excited, but it doesn't land, and people just look at you like you're just crazy. But but you're, because you're not excited, and
Yes.
people can feel what you feel. And this is the most powerful thing ever, because that is how you shift energy. It's not by going outside and trying to control other people and change other people's energies. It's by actually building that relationship with your emotion. That's why that was my first point.
Oh my God.
um yeah, and then the last one, which is, I'm going to think about this one for a moment.
Yeah, think about it. I have been loving these. I feel like I've just been so zen listening to you.
Yeah, I am really happy to hear that. That's amazing.
Yeah, think
I
about it.
Yeah. Um, I think that the biggest thing is, as a leader, the path of a leader, anyone who's in any place of leadership is always going to have, I mean, especially any entrepreneur is always going to have adversity and it's always going to have contrast. I mean, everyone does, but to a level that is more intense than maybe the average person who just has a 9 to 5, that they are used to it. They are comfortable. They know how to deal with everything. Entrepreneurship is like going to the wild. And I said this to my client the other day and she loved it because basically it encapsulates the truth of reality that we're all denying, which is we're all living in the wild, but being it's just the wild with rules and conditioning and concrete, but it's
Wow.
still the wild. We're still in the wild. We're still wild animals that just are very intelligent. So we're
Wow.
primal. So we're so primal. And so when we're people pleasing, what we're actually doing is, just imagine if we were, obviously we're intelligent and we've evolved, but imagine if we were an animal trying to people please other animals. We're more likely to be devoured. We're more likely to be not survive. So really, people pleasing doesn't really benefit you unless you're a child. So
Wow.
when you grow up as an adult. And so I would say that my last tip is anger ritual, because as a leader, if you cannot feel anger, it means you cannot hold boundaries. If you cannot feel anger, you will not know when somebody has crossed your boundaries. So I'd say anger ritual, and I can quickly explain what that is because I think that that's really vague if you're just listening. So if anyone who's listening wants to try, so anger ritual, what you do is you take a space in your time and you get a pillow and you bring breath work into this and you breathe into your belly and you expand and you scream into that pillow, but you don't just scream just randomly just exhaling anger, because otherwise you could go in fight or flight because your body's like, okay, there's something happening that's dangerous. So you
Wow.
actually have to breathe into your belly to regulate your nervous system as you exhale the anger, and you do it in a contained way. That means you are being aware of when your body is just going into like primal fight or flight. So you want to breathe when you feel like that's happening. You'll know when that's happening when you stop being so embodied and so in your body. So that's when you breathe deeper into your belly and you pause for a moment, and then you express the next level of anger. And this actually is so healthy because it allows you not to have emotional anger outbursts during a conversation with someone when they trigger you, you know? And if you're not able to control your self as a leader and you're just easily angered, what angers you controls you, then you're never going to ever be able to be in a situation of stress and lead, because other people are going to be leading you by leading your emotions. And if you're being led by your emotions, you're not actually leading, you're secretly the follower that's just got the leader role. So that's the power of anger and the sacredness of anger in women as well. That's where our power is, being able to be in that sacred rage,
Oh my gosh.
contained.
I could literally listen to you talk all day. You dropped so many golden nuggets that I'm like going to be thinking about up in my bed at night. I'm obsessed. Thank you so much for coming on. Please tell everyone where to follow you. You're coming out with a membership, pimp yourself out. We want to hear all the things.
Yes, yes. I'm really excited for the membership. So that's for anyone who wants to come in, but they're not ready to do one-to-one coaching. That is really potent and really like I really like do a lot of work really quick. So it's about like the containers, the 3 months and 6 months that I do, they're just like intense, powerful work because this is for the women who are ready to really like advance their life. But then when it comes to the membership, the beautiful thing about the membership is that it allows you to do the foundational work, do the healing, and really look at these things so that you can take it at your own pace. Maybe you're not ready to do that thing where I'm like literally the fire under your bum, where I'm like making you expand and grow so quick, so many quantum jumps. Maybe you want to take it at a slower pace, or maybe you just want to learn the basics of like how do you like regulate your emotions, how to soothe yourself so that before public speaking you can show up confidently and be your best without literally melting into like chaos. And also the way, a beautiful way that you can actually benefit from this work is from the membership. And I also do 60-minute coaching sessions. So maybe you don't want to do it in like 3 months or 6 months. You just want to do one quick short burst. And then I recommend the 60 minutes. And also there's the opportunity to just buy one of my programs. When that happens, you can check on my Instagram, which is Scarlet Heart Medicine. Scarlet with 1 T, and then heart written the word, and then medicine. So you can check that out on Instagram. Yeah, so that's how you can find my work and work with me. And yes, that's it.
Amazing. And I'll leave her information in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming on today, Scarlett. It really was just an incredible conversation.
That was amazing. I really loved this. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're so welcome. Bye, guys.